clean break from the past. Canada is investigating Eritrea's latest scheme to tax its citizens here. Other nations do it too, but Eritrea is a rogue state under UN sanctions for coercing cash for arms and insurgents. Last year, CBC News revealed its top diplomat was soliciting 2% of citizens' incomes for routine consular business, so Canada kicked him out. But the scheme is still up and running under different rules. More from the CBC's World Affairs correspondent, Rick McInnes-Ray.
In Alberta, Wagata Tesfamariam's been walking into all the things she'd ever been denied at home. A challenging job as a drafting technologist and a future without fear. Back in her home country of Eritrea, she'd been forced into national service jail for trying to flee. Now 12,000 kilometers away in Edmonton and a permanent resident of Canada, she began to feel free of its reach. She was wrong.
The Eritrean people doesn't feel free, even though we're living in a free country. This is my passport.
A familiar dread rushed back 3 months ago when she asked her consulate for a new passport. Routine for Canadians, a big shock to Eritreans. An official demanded a share of her income.
He said, I'm not going to give you any information as long as you didn't pay the 2%. He told me first pay and then we talk.
How much did they want from you?
$1,200.
$1,200.
Yeah, Canadian dollars.
It's outrageous. And if there is a way to address it in Eritrea, I'm sure we'll work to identify it with our other international partners and with UNHCR.
Here in Edmonton, it's the same old scam of a year ago, but with a couple of important adjustments. Eritrea is no longer using the Toronto Dominion Bank to funnel the 2% back home. It's insisting Eritreans deliver the money in person, in cash. This would appear to be some efforts to try and avoid any money actually changing hands in Canada, and to avoid there being any paper trail.
These are subterfuges.
But this Winnipeg human rights lawyer says the change in tactics doesn't change the offense.
It's not papered. You don't get letters anymore. You don't get instructions about what bank to send it to. It's done verbally now, but it's the same violation.
The consulate doesn't advertise what it's doing, but gives the game away on the phone. An Eritrean activist who once lived in England and asked not to be named invited us to listen as he dials the number of Ahmed Iman.
For Ahmed, press 1.
The senior Eritrean official at the consulate in Toronto. When asked about documents, Iman asks about money.
Did you fulfill all the other said things?
What shall I fulfill?
This 2 from 100 and things?
2%.
Yes.
How can I calculate it?
We write those in England, and they will tell us he is paying this and this.
And then, more on the change in tactics.
Everything is paid in Eritrea. It is almost stopped here.
How am I going to pay it in Eritrea?
It is not necessary for you to go, but through someone, or if there are people you know.
Contacted by telephone, Iman confirmed that tax continues, but since it's paid now in Eritrea, insists it's all legal.
They have to pay the 2% too. But they don't pay it in here. We are not collecting 2% in Canada or at our office at Consular General, but we give them the information.
And how is that different from soliciting, which is what the Canadian government opposes?
No, but we are not soliciting. We are giving their information.
Yeah.
In fact, they're giving rather more than that. They gave Wagata Tesfamariam instructions to fax her Canadian tax return to the consulate number so they could calculate her fee. Then they gave her a flat no on her passport when she couldn't find a way to get the money to Eritrea. David Maida says it is clearly still a scam.
Well, I would say they're more guilty because not only are they violating the law, they're also being dishonest about it, which they weren't before.
Canada knows this story because Tesfamariam wrote to Canadian Immigration 3 months ago.
The Eritrean consular office in Toronto is
saying she couldn't get any documents from her consulate. Unhelpfully, it wrote her back asking for more documents from her consulate. So she's back to square one, still fearful too of Eritrea's reach.
There are agents in most of the Canadian cities and towns. So, I believe the Canadian government should take a closer look at them and investigate their background and take action. Because these are the people who scares the Eritreans.
Working with David Matus, Winnipeg activist Gazai Hegos has led the campaign against his country's tax scheme for several years. He calls out Canada for allowing it to get this far.
It is long overdue for Canada to act decisively and in a convincing manner. Shut down the transit once and for all.
We have done a lot to hold the Eritrean representatives in Canada to account. If we need to do more, I'm sure we'll take the necessary steps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Canada says it's looking into these tax complaints. They're common in most countries with an Eritrean diaspora. Eritreans here, meanwhile, say they're trying to help it out, sending Ottawa copies of their own conversations with the consulate. But is it violating diplomatic standards, or is offshore payment the loophole that puts it beyond Canadian concerns? While the government decides, Eritrea is enjoying a cash flow that Canada may have thought it had put a dent in. Rick McInnes-Ray, CBC News, Toronto.